Hello and welcome. It's Japan, and I got a Smackdown review here for May 2nd. It's been a little bit. I've been trying to. I pretty much with Raw and Evolve, I get it every week, but SmackDown's always that weird one that sometimes I don't always get the chance to get it out right afterwards. So I'm glad to be getting this one on pretty much time for me. And there'll be a lot of other videos this weekend and for the past because we have a bunch of releases too, but we won't cover it in this video. So let's just start off the show. I thought the show, like with nothing announced for it other than the Miz and Malachi Black one, I thought it could be either really good or really bad because sometimes the ones that they just kind of feel like they throw stuff together sometimes ends up being pretty decent. But we'll go from segment to segment and then be the judge by the end of that. It started off with LA Knight and Damian Priest talking in just kind of a weird promo of being like, yo, we don't have beef, but then slowly going into beef of doing it. I don't know. It's kind of felt kind of lame. I think it's just to sure up the fatal four way to having it where like everybody hates each other because you'd have those two that are just kind of like, I mean, we don't mind, but um I think altogether it was okay. Then they get wiped out by Solo and Jacob Fatu, which will set up a tag team match next week. I think I was under the assumption that that was going to be at the end of this week's episode, and maybe they said something at first, but I was really under that we were going to get this match, and then they said that the women's tag match was the main event, and then it just went into it, and I was like, huh. I must have missed something there. I thought this opening segment was it was okay. I'll put it in C. It wasn't anything too crazy. I mean, I guess I'd actually maybe move it up to B because it did have the story threads of having that triple threat try to make a little bit more sense, or not triple threat, fatal four way make a lot more sense. So I think that's okay. It wasn't that bad of a show start. I mean, we've been only getting Randy, Cena, or that's pretty much kind of, or Cody. I think that's pretty much started SmackDown most of these weeks. So I mean, I guess it makes sense. Get a little bit of a change, I guess. Then we had Fraxium versus Pretty Deadly. This match actually was really good. I think Pretty Deadly was a little sluggish out there. Obviously, I forget which one got busted open and he forgot to kick out. I don't know if anybody else caught that. He got pinned and he didn't kick out at free, unfortunately. I think he just was like a little dazed from whatever happened, which is valid, but it definitely sucked for the match. I think altogether, I think it was still a really solid match. Fraxium just absolutely does their thing. I do think I've noticed this with Fraxium, at least at their very ending sequence, is always very much the exact same, which is fine. That's kind of what tag team finishes do. But I would like to see them just win or lose just like completely different, at least just once or twice, so they don't get super predictable and that could get stale in the long run if you just see the same thing over and over again. But I think altogether they just absolutely cook out there. It's such a small gripe. It's not that big of a deal. And I like the match. I'm going to put it up in A. I thought the match itself, like I said, was pretty solid. Just had a little bit of issues here and there to keep it out of the S tier. Next we have The Miz versus Malachi Black or Aleister Black. It's probably going to be a while until I remember to say it the other way. I knew him more as Malachi Black than Aleister Black because I watched him more in AEW than WWE. So this is all new to me. I think he's obviously very talented with a lot of his moves and stuff. So I personally like seeing him wrestle. I don't think he's necessarily the best wrestler in the world, but I think he's very like entertaining, and I like his kicks and stuff like that. I think all of that type of stuff is pretty solid as a package on top of his like a cult vibe. The Miz is the Miz. He goes out there. He's great on the mic. I think he's always pretty solid in the ring. I think he's underrated in the ring compared to a lot of people. It's hard to say, like, because some people have him in really high regard and people have him in really low regard. But I think he's definitely one of those people that's just like that steadfast veteran to have on the roster, to do feuds like this where you're testing the new guy coming back to show him out. But I think altogether this match was pretty entertaining. I don't think it was like a super good back and forth, but I think altogether for like the entertainment value and to set up a feud with Carmelo Hayes and Malachi Black, I think is kind of where it's going, and I'm cool with all that. So I put it in B. I think for the whole story, match, everything puts it in a nice solid B side. Then we had Zelina Vega versus Piper Niven. I actually, the only thing I didn't know about this match because it kind of like happened is I don't know if it was for the title. I don't think it was, but I honestly you could tell me it was, and I would believe you because it was one of those things. It was out of the blue, and I think I was watching it, but I was also doing something, so I missed that one little part of it. I think the match itself was okay. I mean, Zelina Vega does her things out there. She's always like going against bigger opponents than her. I mean, obviously she's super small. I feel like they need to give her somebody that's around her same size to feud against because I really want to see her strength take over. Because most of the time it's just like this, the counters and getting out of stuff, which is very cool. But like for smaller competitors, that's kind of most of her thing. And I think she'll probably face Alba Fire next, and I think that one will be better. Altogether, I thought the match was okay. The story itself is okay. I'm not super huge into this whole like U.S. title thing. I definitely feel like Zelina Vega deserves the title, but I do believe once the call ups happen, if Roxanne Perez goes to SmackDown, she should instantly win that. I think it definitely should be on somebody who's going to go out there and cook. And yeah, I mean that match itself, Roxanne Perez versus Zelina Vega would be really good because of like the size and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go put it in B. I thought it was pretty good. Next up, we had Randy Orton talk. Basically still going after Cena and a bunch of the stuff from last week. Um, I think it's been a good feud. I think like this is definitely one of those things. I think once Cena said that he was going to erase the Orton name from history, I think that really fired up um, Randy Orton. I think that's part of his plan is to get Randy um, gonna do something dumb. Try to get him to take himself out by not paying attention or doing something up messed up. I'll put this up in S tier. I like the feud itself. I'm going to Backlash this year, so I'm really excited for this feud and excited for this match. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star classic match, but I think the story itself has been 5 stars if you want to count it that way. Then we finally get the announcement that we're going to have the Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. title. They've been kind of hinting at this, and I've been extremely excited about this. It's going to be an absolute slugfest. This is going to be a great match. I think the card itself for WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania, for Backlash is a little lackluster in certain areas, but I think this match will definitely power it up to being a lot better. I'll put it up in Esther. Probably one of the most ones I'm excited for. Then we had Ray Phoenix versus Santos. I think they absolutely had good in-ring chemistry with each other. I honestly really like Santos Escobar. Like I feel like there's just like something about him that he goes in that ring and he just has a good package together of being able to just do some moves. He makes everybody look good when he wrestles with him, which is always like I feel like a good sign of a wrestler because it's like you can do amazing crazy stuff, but if you have an opponent that's just gonna take the hits or do that and not sell, and it kind of just looks bad. But I feel like Santos does pretty good with that. I hadn't seen him wrestle a lot. Like I maybe you've seen like maybe lifetime 5 matches of his, because he's not used super often or he's like used in tags and stuff like that. But I thought this one was pretty solid. I think Ray Phoenix obviously does Ray Phoenix fans. I thought that they were all pretty good. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with him. I kind of like that he does have like a storyline and is like involved in stuff because like when Ray and Penta came in and they were gonna have them separate because of the time gap. I think this ended up being really good for both of them because I think it really is gonna establish them, and then whenever they do put them together, they will be even more over. I'll put it up an A. I thought it was a pretty good thing. I like the story. I like that it's like Andrade's kind of trying to lure Berto out, and like they're trying to make a lot of dissension in the whole faction, which I think is pretty solid. Next up, and the main event, which we got like stuff in the middle. I kind of just skipped that part because I figured we put it all as one giant thing. It is Nia Jax and Naomi versus Jade and Tiffany. We had Tiffany come down there to interrupt Nia Jax, saying that she laid her out and then she wants a rematch type of thing. And then Jade, well, it was first Naomi coming down, talking, and then Jade coming down to whoop her ass and like. So I like it. I really wish this was a Fatal 4-Way also for Backlash. I don't think they're gonna have time to build it for Backlash. I think they have the number one contendership match next week, which I think Naomi will inevitably cause a DQ or something. So like the match will, probably be turned into a four-way, but I don't know if it will be Backlash because that happens Friday and they would have to literally be like tomorrow, which I don't know if that's a good thing. I guess we'll know by Raw because there's only four matches on the card right now, and I feel like if Raw doesn't add one, then it's going to be a SmackDown match, and this would be the only thing logical because the women's title need to be defended, and it hasn't. I don't think Io Sky's in that position unless it's like a tag match, which still she's not defending the title, but that's the only other narrative threat she has is with fighting a tag team. So I feel like not much you could say. This match was fine. It just the back and forth I thought was pretty solid. Jay doing just incredible strength things. I think everybody looked pretty solid in it. I put it in a solid A. I thought it was a pretty good tag match. Obviously, they were trying to have the back and forth and have a lot of like dissension between both tag teams, which works out. But again, I just like I want to see that fatal four way. The tag match is fine, but this is just an appetizer for the entree type of thing. But yeah, I think the show itself, even though I have some of these stuff rated higher, I'd probably put it in the B's. I thought it was okay. I don't feel like anything there was like completely rewatchable if you hadn't caught it. If you just like caught notes on it, I think you'd be fine. None of the matches were like absolutely I have to go back and watch type of thing, like the last week's main event. But yeah, I thought altogether solid episode. Nothing too crazy. But until next time, this has been Japan. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We do daily videos here, so if you like that type of stuff, there'll be plenty of stuff to look at. Bye, guys.